Hello, I'm Bill Kirk, CEO of Weather Trends International. Our mission is to help our customers make better business decisions as it pertains to influences of weather on their businesses by reducing their risk and capitalizing on opportunities.
State-of-the-art technologies, innovative business strategies, behind the scenes, insights from cutting-edge users around the globe on World Business Review.
Welcome to World Business Review. I'm Norman Schwarzkopf. Retailers, manufacturers, and financial analysts all use the weather forecast to determine their best advertising schedule and overall sales plan. Having accurate and timely predictions can be invaluable. Joining us is Bill Kirk, CEO and co-founder for Weather Trends International. Welcome to World Business Review, Bill.
General, thank you so much for having me.
Bill, how do volatile weather patterns impact the retail industry?
Statistically, the weather repeats year over year 20% of the time, and what that does, it creates an immediate volatility in business plans. So if you plan off last year for next year, you're going to be wrong about 80% of the time. So traditional business activities like how much inventory to buy, where to put it, when to promote it, when to advertise it, all of those plans can have a monkey wrench thrown into it when the weather doesn't repeat from year over year.
Bill, during your service, you help the military with more accurate forecasting. How do you now help big retail and manufacturing clients?
Again, it's the whole business side of the weather. So it's, how much inventory to buy, how much product to buy, where to allocate that inventory for the most optimal weather conditions. If it's a really hot area, you'd want to allocate more hot weather products to those areas. When do you time a promotional event, or when do you run advertising campaigns? If you can get all that in sync with the weather, you're going to be far more successful as a business.
For more, let's go to this World Business Review field report.
Predicting the weather has always been a challenge for everyone. Weather Trends International has a proven solution, providing its clients a strategic planning advantage, which is also easy to use.
We've been working with Weather Trends International since their inception as a company. We believe that Weather Trends International is successful because of their accuracy, number one, and the fact that they've customized their product to their audience.
Having an accurate view of the weather can help retailers allocate seasonal merchandise, plan or reduce markdowns, and better estimate overall sales.
Well, accuracy in weather forecasting is important to retailers simply because they can position themselves more strategically. And that would include everything from ordering product for the stores to advertising. So it's a broad array of strategic decisions that would be more effective for retailers.
Weather intelligence is used to help manufacturers forecast retail sales, as well as in the agricultural industry to manage the weather risk.
Just about every industry is somehow related to weather impacts. To some degree, it's a little bit more or a little less, but weather does seem to impact a broad array of industry.
For World Business Review, I'm Jamie Mahler reporting.
Bill, how does the weather impact on the overall economy?
It's interesting to note that Alan Greenspan just came out with a comment that he thinks that 2007 could be somewhat of a recessionary year. And if you look back over the last 35 years at the recessions, you will find out of sync weather years. And what we mean by that is that a cold, wet spring, retailers are trying to sell us warm, dry products like shorts and sandals and bottled water. Whereas then a cold summer, it's out of sync. A warm fall, they're trying to sell coats and sweaters, but if it's a really warm fall, you and I are not buying them. So we kind of have one of those out of sync years from a weather perspective, and interestingly enough, those can lead to some down years from the overall economy. 1/3 of our GDP is impacted by weather and weather-sensitive industries. That's $3 trillion, so it is a significant factor.
Well, to follow up on that, how do some of your financial analyst clients, like Merrill Lynch and Citigroup, use the long-range forecasts?
They're really trying to assess how well a certain retailer or manufacturer is going to perform. If it's a cold, rainy spring, that may benefit a department store because you and I can go to the mall and hit 100 stores on a rainy day. But it may be a negative impact for, say, a home center. So the impacts can be that, one stock may do better than another. And if they know the weather trends, they can better assess which will do better.
Well, what type of business strategies do you help them with?
Well, again, we lay out the whole forecast a year out, so they know that, what the spring's like, summer, fall, winter, and then they can assess these stocks will do well at this period of the year, other stocks may do better late in the year. So it's really kind of assessing, do I recommend to their financial clients, do you buy the stock or do you hold it or do you sell it?
Now this is a trick question here, because this is the question we always ask a weatherman. How accurate are you and why?
Well, unlike the weatherman that's 80% wrong and gets to keep his job, we're about 75–80% right. And what we mean by that is, it's a statistical math-based forecast that we use. So it's a little different than your traditional weather forecast. And the neat thing about that is it's more reliable. We make projections by week, a year out, by city. And statistically, again, they're about 80% right most of the time.
And how much do your retail clients rely on this forecast?
We have some large national retailers that rely on it quite significantly, where they've made $100 million decisions. They know it's a hot, dry summer, you buy more air conditioners. So literally have had $100 million wins.
Well, how can your forecast be used by various departments in an organization?
In some of our clients, we have board level recognition, and literally, if they know it's a bad season or a good season, they can say, we're going to be a little less aggressive on an overall sales plan if it's a down year. So manage internal expectations, both internally and with Wall Street. CFOs, how much to mark down a product. If it's a cold fall like we had last year, then don't go so crazy with the markdowns. Let the weather do the selling for you. All the way down to product managers, buyers who are buying this inventory and then have to make the decision of where to put it for the most optimal conditions where it will sell. So it's really from top to bottom.
Now, I've noticed that you have recently expanded your year ahead weekly forecast down to a daily level. How is that even possible?
Yeah, we didn't think it was possible either, and quite honestly, it was an accident. Retailers all use a standard week-ending Saturday calendar. That calendar shifts by a day every year. So we found that this was creating an artificial 3 to 5% error bias in our forecast. So we're trying to fix that bias, and in doing so, we thought doing a daily forecast aggregated to a week, never intending that daily would work. It made our process more accurate at a weekly level, but in doing so, we actually found that it was more accurate even at a daily level. So you're not going to get it down perfect, but it assesses when the hot periods will be, cold periods, it is a dry weekend or a not so dry weekend. So it actually is just as good at a daily level as a weekly level.
Well, do you plan to offer consumers and small businesses a cheaper alternative to get your forecast?
Some would argue that our services are a little on the pricey side, but again, the wins are rather significant. We are building a consumer-based website that'll allow you to pick your zip code and plan a vacation, a golf outing, or again, a small business in the local area that still has to make the same decisions that a retailer that has maybe 1,000 stores would have to make. So that'll be launched soon.
Well, how does climate change factor into your processes?
General, that's a hot topic. Sorry for the pun, but basically it really doesn't, because climate change is a long-term factor, and we still see the same volatility right now. Last spring was one of the coldest in 30 years in California. This past fall was the coldest in 10 years. This winter has made a wholesale change from last year, when it was one of the warmest in history, to this year, one of the greatest year-over-year changes toward colder weather this year. So you still see the volatility. So really, when retailers have to plan off last year for next year, the volatility is still there.
My wife can tell you it's a lot colder year. I want you to know that. When will a consumer version be available?
We're launching one this spring.
This spring?
This spring.
Wonderful. One of your taglines is better businesses in any weather. Explain what you mean.
Again, we had a client that, if you know the shape of the season, if you know what the season's going to look like, if it's a great spring for your product but maybe a really bad summer, then you can plan. Just as we plan strategically in the military, you can do the same thing in business. And what they can do is, we had one client that had sold lawn tractors, and we were forecasting a hot drought in the summer. Well, he decided that he was going to mark down the product in spring when you and I were already inclined to buy it because the weather was good. So he took a small markdown in spring, sold 1 trillion small tractors at full, slightly lower margins, and then by the time the drought hit, and you can't give a tractor away in a drought, they came out of the inventory clean. So it was a great decision. They sold a lot of tractors in what was really a bad overall year.
Is there any skill in the Old Farmer's Almanac, or should we just throw it away?
It's a great publication, but if it's $6.95, I think at Walmart, it's probably not worth planning billion-dollar, businesses, using the information. But I buy it. It's a great publication.
So, what do you see the future?
The future for us is actually, again, leveraging our experience with large clients like Walmart and Kohl's and Johnson & Johnson and Anheuser-Busch. We have a great track record of proving that long-range weather projections are reliable, 80% reliable in some cases. So we're expanding that out globally, and we think it is kind of a change-the-world approach to the way the world looks at long-range weather forecasts. We all want to plan our trips and vacations and businesses, and this is now an opportunity to allow literally almost anyone in the world to have access to that information.
Well, thank you very much for being here. You've certainly opened a whole new world up to me, and I'm sure it'll be of great help to people for years to come.
General, thank you so much for having us.
Very welcome. And thank you for watching. Until next time, for World Business Review, I'm Norman Schwarzkopf.